Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being the music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And we have a brand new discursive type topic for you today, and that is pretentiousness in music has to stop. I'm going to refer to the original articles I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. Now this might sound like a bit of a specialty topic, or rather a specific topic, and I guess it kind of is, but it's one I feel like I should finally address as I see it mentioned on just about every other music video that is put out on a daily basis. I mean, it might not be directly mentioned, but it's often commented about. Whether you understand a piece of music or not doesn't necessarily mean it's objectively good or bad, but we are going through a time where statements are being considered more important than musical quality, and that's where things have to really stop. Admittedly, we've had a lot of releases over the past year or so that have been very experimentally driven. In fact, I said one of my favourite factors of last year in music was the sheer quantity of experimental music we were being given. Now, is all of that music good music? Well, no, not at all. In fact, most of it's actually garbage. Can I appreciate what they are trying to do, however? Well, yeah, of course, I can. I mean, varying your sound and approaching music differently should be encouraged, not denounced in any way. But does the message of the music change my overall opinion if I don't like the instrumentation and vocals, progressions, etc, etc? And no, that's just a flat out no. Now, before I start to digress, let me give you a direct example of what I'm trying to really explain here. Well, Bon Iver released an experimental album last year which caused a lot of fans to tear into each other over each and every track. In my personal opinion, I thought the album was a bit of a dud, and so did a lot of other people, but I can totally accept why people might like it, and I can totally accept what they were trying to do. But what I cannot accept is musical snobbery in the comment section by those who think they're on a higher platform because they simply like the music more than I did, or say you did. To highlight a specific track off of that album which proves my point, let's go with 715 Creeks, or however you pronounce it. In this track, Justin Vernon sings a cappella into a software that he has created. A software that sounds like auto-tune and an octave shift all wrapped up in one, so yeah, it's very effect-driven. He sings very ambiguous lyrics that in my personal opinion came across as very pretentious and needlessly disjointed, lacking some real concentration and focus in the themes he was trying to present. Other people might admittedly connect with them more than me, but I just didn't really buy it at all. Because for me, the track was incredibly lazy. It relied on a gimmick that wasn't particularly remarkable and had been done before, and was genuinely quite boring, really. However, if you look at the comment section of that singles video, my goodness, do we see some absolute corkers. Let me actually quote you some real quick. I mean, I've got them all written down here, so let's start with quote number 1. "All of you are idiots, this is amazing." You know, that's like your typical one. You usually see that on like Little Mix videos, so that's not really out of the blue. Let's move on to number 2. "I'm so glad Bon Iver took this direction. It gets rid of all the close-minded plebs who can't appreciate change or how beautiful the song is." Well, change doesn't necessarily mean good. I'm all for, like I said earlier, you know, change it can be good. It should be encouraged, but it's not always good. I mean, let's remember Linkin Park. Yeah, that's a good one to go off of. And the third one, and you'll like this one. I mean, it's directed at people who, you know, didn't really enjoy the album. And it was one guy in particular said he didn't really enjoy the new album, and this song doesn't really hit it for him, but he appreciates what they tried to do. So they said this to him: "Of course you didn't like it, you uncultured swine." So, shocking stuff, really. Now, I'm all for people expressing strong opinions for music. That's the point of it being such a subjective art form. But if someone doesn't like your favourite group's music, don't say, "Oh, you just don't understand," because you come across like a giant bellend, to be honest. Music isn't there to be understood. It's not a literary exam. It's there to be enjoyed and had fun to, or even just thought about, really. It doesn't have to be understood. If they tried something different and it didn't work out, don't be so defensive about it. These things just happen, and some people connect with things in different ways. Now, I do get that not everyone will understand the complexity and time taken to make a particular track. I mean, we're not all musicians, you know, people just listen to music sometimes because they follow the artist as a figure, or they just put it on as a daily, you know, during their daily routine in the background, when they're driving, whatever like that. They might not be adamant followers of the art form, you know, it's exactly the same as what I'm like for films. I like films, but I'm not going to tell anybody else, you know, what they should or shouldn't think about a film because, you know, I don't know too much about it. But what does really grind my gears is when someone says it about a track that isn't complex, experimental or variant, yet insists it does just because they like the artist, you know. Again, Little Mix. I mean, if you're coming at me saying you don't understand just because I don't really like the latest Clean Bandit track, you come across kinda stupid, really. What is there to understand? I know the theory behind it, I know how much it costs to make, and I know how long it takes to write it. I'm a musician myself, I do know this stuff. And I know what it's like to perform it, and the lyrics are literal and obvious as well, so there's nothing to be understood there. Saying you don't understand in response to those who dislike your music isn't the way to convert them, it's the way to piss them off. Being a huge prog fan, it's usually my demographic who are actually the worst for this behaviour, but the way it's leaking into the current pop music scene is kind of worrying, really, and people are putting message over substance at least half of the time now. I mean, look at the latest Gorillaz track. No one could even defend how bad the instrumentation was in that track. It was literally a sampled beat and one synth with a preset sound, and that was it. But people are calling it genius and placing it on a pedestal just because it isn't as mundane as your typical track. You know, it has some spicy time signatures, I guess, but still, it's a sample. That's easy enough to do. Yes, you are entitled to that opinion. I have nothing wrong with that opinion. But when you're questioning my intelligence just because I thought the song wasn't very catchy and I thought that wasn't very exploratory, then you just come across as a douche. You have to be understanding. So music has to come first, and enjoyment walks hand in hand with that, with the gold medal, I guess you could say. Understanding is but a mere tiny fraction of the enjoyment of music. So don't prioritize it. This isn't chemistry, it's music, funnily enough. So if you like this video, then please leave a like. Comment your experiences with this or what you think in the comment section down below. I'd really like to hear what you think about all that. Subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.